Welcome everyone to the InsurTech NY information session on our Growth Stage Accelerator program. There's going to be three parts of our presentation today. The first part will be a short background about InsurTech NY for those of you who may not be familiar with our organization and our Accelerator program. The second part will go into some details about our Accelerator program and what's going to be happening, what it takes to participate, and what the opportunities and benefits are for US startups to participate in the program. At the end, we'll leave time to answer questions. If you think of questions as I'm going through the presentation, you're welcome to either type them in the chat to everyone, or if you're familiar with Zoom, you can go into the chat, deselect everyone, and just select either me or Tony, and we will be able to answer the questions at the end. All right, well, with the background done, we'll get into it. InsurTech NY is really an organization built as an international gateway to bring together insurtechs, carriers and brokers, solution providers and investors from around the world and take advantage of the resources and capabilities that are in the New York and broader East Coast ecosystem. Our mission is to drive the best talent to insurance, support innovation-friendly regulation, provide infrastructure for startups, and improve access to capital. And we do this through several programs throughout the year. We run events, 5 public events, 3 private events for our carrier and broker members, competition, which is at the beginning of the year, and our Growth Stage Accelerator, which you'll hear more about shortly. And really those 4 components are spread out throughout the year. So our early stage competition starts in the beginning of the year, and it's part of our event that is called our Spring Conference in March. Our innovation events are spread out roughly once a quarter. Our executive roundtables are for our members, and we do those in the middle of the year, and our Growth Stage Accelerator is in the second half of the year, and we'll go through all the dates on that. This is our second year running the program, and the first year was extremely successful. Our community is pretty substantial in terms of the events that we've held so far. We've had over 3,000 people attend our events from over 700 insurance organizations. And oftentimes we get featured in a lot of press, and that's great for US startups because as being part of our Accelerator program, that means that you're going to get a lot of exposure to the outside world, not just to the direct participants, but also as a positive halo for your brand and your organization. So what is the Accelerator program? Our Growth Stage Accelerator program is specifically designed for companies that have at least 100,000 in revenue, all the way up to 25 million in revenue. Ideally, we're only looking for companies that already have customers. We can make a small exception if you're a digital MGA, you've built your product and you're getting ready to launch. But ideally, that means companies, if you are funded between seed stage and Series B. So startups in the past have roughly raised between 2 million and 50 million when they were in the program. The types of businesses that we're looking for is decided ultimately by our members, but we're interested in digital MGAs, other types of distribution plays like marketplaces, and embedded insurance is a hot area. And we're also interested in B2B technology providers. They may be providing solutions in distribution or underwriting, or maybe providing additional data sets for our insurers. The lines of businesses that we're interested in is life, annuities, benefits, and property and casualty. We have limited membership within the health space. It's not saying we're precluding startups in the health space, but it's not primary focus. And the reasons why you might join our program is there's 4 key reasons why you might consider it to be part of our program. First is you have a few customers, or you might have several dozen customers, and you want to accelerate the process in which you can get more partnerships to grow your business. And these are different types of partnerships, right? So for some, it may be you want to get additional clients that are going to use your technology. For others, if you sell insurance, you may be looking for a fronting carrier, might be looking for a capacity provider or a reinsurer, or if you're a distribution type of marketplace, you might be looking for products. Our insurance carrier participants are willing and interested in providing all of those. The next areas, you might be looking to find talent. From our last accelerator, one of the startups in the accelerator ended up hiring one of the mentors to become the CEO of their company and help them grow their company. So it's a great opportunity to find very senior experienced advisors. And we'll have some detailed talent workshops. So if you're currently hiring, and you can learn how to optimize and improve that process. You'll also have an opportunity to meet founders that are a little further along in the process than you. So we'll have a number of experienced founders that range all the way from Series B to pre-IPO. So for example, Vivek, the CEO of Clover Health, is going to be one of the founders participating in some of the programs with you. And then for those of you that believe you'll need additional capital for your business, we have investors that are interested all the way from Series A to Series E. So you'll have the opportunity to meet with investors that are not just generic investors, but those that have actually had a previous track record of making investments in InsurTech. So this is corporate VCs, traditional VCs, and individuals who have made investments. And from our last cohort, there was 33 startups that participated, and after the program, they've collectively raised more than $100 million in follow-on investment. So this is in less than a year. So what are some key details to be aware of? First is there is no cost to participate in the program whatsoever, no equity, no fee. Basically, the entire cost of the program is underwritten by our carrier and broker members that are looking for great startups like you guys to either invest in or to partner with. The second is based off of how we select the companies, we guarantee meetings. So if you join the program, you will be meeting with carriers and brokers that can help you, investors and mentors. And the last component is we understand that you're growing companies, you're not necessarily a fledgling or early stage company. So we want to be very respectful for your time. We take very little effort and time from the startups and try and provide the highest value possible. So I'll be explaining the format shortly, but it's only 3 days in person in New York, and the rest are all virtual meetings with the type of people that you would otherwise want to meet with to grow your business. So what is the process to be involved in our program? So unfortunately, we don't have the capacity to accept all companies into the program, so we have to filter down. So we have an application process that is available on our website. So if you go to InsurTechNY.com/accelerator, you'll be able to apply. The applications are currently open, and they're open until August 2nd. It's a very simple application. It should only take you roughly 15 minutes to complete. And feel free as you're going through it, if you have any questions, to definitely ask. Yeah, and I think Tony just posted the link. We will select roughly 30 companies to join us in our selection day. And ultimately from there, we may whittle it down to companies to participate. Our program is different from other accelerators in the sense that we don't have a fixed cohort size. So as long as at least one of our carrier members is interested in working with you and they meet you and they like you in the selection day, you'll be welcome to participate in the program. So last year, just for the numbers, we had roughly about 100 companies apply and we accept 33. So it's a pretty high chance that you're going to get in if there's a good fit. And how the selection process works is we take your applications and we share them with our 7 carrier and broker members. They review them and determine if they believe that they could partner or add value to you. So if you don't get in, it doesn't reflect anything of whether you're a good company or a bad company. It really just means that for the current year, our carrier and broker members were interested in finding partnership opportunities or want to use your product in that given year. So don't get discouraged if you don't get in, but in the same sense, like we don't want to waste people's time. So the people that get in, we feel very strongly that we can help. Once you get a message that you're accepted into the selection day, basically the program begins. So there will be 2 days in New York. The first will be a day where you have the opportunity to meet all of our carrier and broker members, and we'll basically do sessions where you rotate and have an opportunity to meet all of them. Immediately following that, so you only have to take one trip if you're not local to New York, is our education day. So all startups that are invited to the selection day will participate in the education day. So we have dedicated education specifically designed for growth stage companies. So this includes topics like how to negotiate your Series A, B, or C term sheets, being able to work directly with journalists that want to cover your companies and learn how to better get press from them, and also having the opportunity to understand exit better from startup founders that have actually had their companies acquired. Those are some examples of the topics that will be on the day. And then after your in-person components, pretty much besides the demo day, the rest of it is virtual. So we have basically time that's spread out between October 14th, so right after InsurTech Connect, and November 11th, where we'll coordinate meetings with you between carriers and brokers, mentors, investors, and other startup founders that may be a little further along than you guys. So that's the highlight of the program. In terms of how this breaks out into the different components, right? So like I said, as it's probably important to many people, having the ability to meet with the right carriers and brokers. So you'll have the full day of meetings in New York, and then you'll have partnership meetings with senior executives at those companies that will happen virtually. Then the education day, which I mentioned, we'll have workshops, we'll have keynotes and panels. You'll also have an opportunity to meet founders. So you'll meet other people in the cohort, which we've found has been really great networking because many of the times they're extremely strong founders, and several of them have had previous startups that they worked on and have been successful. But also we'll be inviting founders into the program from our previous cohort and those that we have good relationships with that could either be unicorn startups or have substantial traction. And then you'll have the opportunity to meet mentors and investors. The majority of the mentors will be senior executives at carriers and brokers. So this is additional opportunities for you to do business development, find partnerships, or just have a sounding board where you can test out new products or ideas that you have for your business, and opportunity to meet investors as well. And then the investor component will kind of summarize on November 11th, where you'll have the opportunity as a demo day to do a final presentation, and we'll invite the investors in person to meet with you guys. So that's all I have for our presentation. So if you have questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. Otherwise, you have control over your ability to mute or unmute. So feel free to mute or unmute to ask any questions that you may have. So I guess if no one has any questions, I will answer a few common questions that people have and give you guys a chance to fill that out. Okay, so here's one that came in. UK's companies expanding into the US apply? Yeah, so the question was, can UK tech companies expanding into the US apply? So we accept applications from startups from all over the world. Last year, 35% of our startups were from outside of the United States. We've had several UK companies considering expanding to the US. We had Honcho Markets, we've had Guardhog, and in fact, even if you're not planning on expanding to the US, many of the reinsurers and carriers that we work with have the ability to provide capacity or reinsurance, or maybe interested in your technology, even if you're not planning to expand into the US. So then there was a question, we're based in Singapore, might not be the best time to travel. Is it possible to do it all virtual? So for those startups in the US, we really strongly encourage and basically require that you participate, but we understand that in some countries it's not possible to travel, maybe lockdowns. So if you're in Singapore, we'll do our best to make accommodations for you to see if it's possible to do it all virtually, but kind of handle that on a case-by-case basis. Okay. So next question is, I'm working with a startup that is providing a solution for an asset management side of Insure. Does it make sense to apply? So we do have a number of life insurance carriers that have registered investment advisors and components of their business that they're specifically focused on the investment side of things. So I would encourage you to apply. Like worst case, we'll review your application with those carriers and they'll kind of make a determination if they think they can add value to you. And then what solutions for both career as well as carrier as well as brokers? Is it a good idea to apply to both or should we apply to one? Basically, you just have to fill out one application. We'll review your application with both the carriers and the brokers that are interested in the solutions. So our carriers and brokers are looking for underwriting solutions, additional data. They're looking for things to help them manage their distribution channel. There's a pretty wide array of areas that they're looking for, so definitely encourage you to apply. What is the date where the selected startups are announced? So let me just go back to all of the dates. So if you see August 2nd is when the applications close. So it's going to depend a little bit on how quickly our carriers get back to us, but I believe our target is the 3rd week in August. We want to get back to you, so then that way you have roughly a month to do your planning. But if you need a decision earlier, it may be possible we can get back to you earlier. Okay, there's a question on how do you handle confidentiality from VCs, brokers, and carriers who are invested in competitors that are involved with your program? Good question. So we had an issue with this with one of the startups that was involved last year. So what we can do is basically, if you let us know which carriers, brokers, or VCs are invested in your competitors, what we can do is essentially make sure you don't meet with any of them. So we'll plan around that. And then in any of the public events, we just ask you to be careful, like not to disclose any proprietary information. You'll only be giving high-level overviews of your company. And then in terms of the application itself, if you want to indicate somewhere in the notes, hey, like we are concerned about a certain carrier and broker, and the carriers and brokers involved in the program are listed on our website. So just put that in there and we'll do our best to make sure we filter it out and don't include them in sharing your information. Okay, there's a question on being a core engine platform focused on property and casualty and is fully developed but pre-revenue. I don't have a customer. Does it make sense to apply? Unfortunately, in your case, we really are looking to have at least one customer. So I'd say you're a little too early. But the good news is we do have our early stage competition in the beginning of next year. So you'll be eligible to apply for that as long as you have less than 250,000 in revenue. So encourage you to do that one instead. Okay, what is the time commitment that will be necessary for the virtual program content? So there actually is no content in terms of like presentations for the virtual program. It's just meetings. So if you think about like the needs of your business development, your product management, your feedback, it's kind of as much as that you want. So if you want to get more involved and meet with a lot of investors and mentors, you can. Otherwise, basically the lowest amount of commitment would just be to meet with 1 or 2 brokers and carriers that are very interested in working with you. Can I share this PowerPoint? Absolutely. What time of day will the virtual meetings be, assuming we're in Central European time? So we try and do the meetings between early afternoon and late afternoon Eastern time. And that's also, if you think about it, we have to accommodate a lot of time zones. So understand it's not perfect time zones for everyone, but what we've done in the past for startups in Europe is that we are able to basically make their meetings first in the day. So it will be later for you. It could be as late as 8 p.m., but we'll do our best to accommodate from the time zones. Okay. Question is, we're currently scaling a reg tech and have a client in the insurance industry. However, we're putting more emphasis into the insurance market this year. Does it make sense to apply? I think if you have a client in the insurance industry and you want to get more, then it definitely makes sense. In the application process, how many slides do you recommend in the pitch deck? I would say enough so the carriers and brokers reviewing it could get an idea of what your product is, what your market opportunity is, and how they may benefit. So it doesn't have to be a pitch deck like you're raising money. It could just be your sales deck. So I would say don't go out of your way to create something special, but something in the range of 10 to 15 slides would be good. And then how many meetings are there in the speed dating day? Right now we have 15 scheduled, but that's going to depend on a couple factors. Like how many startups are in the cohort and how many non-member carriers participate. But I think it's safe to say somewhere between 12 and 20. All right, so I know I went through a lot of this really quickly. If anyone has additional questions, you can always reach me and Tony. My email is david@insurtechny.com. Tony's is tony@insurtechny.com. This presentation has been recorded. If any of you want to stick on and you have a more complicated question that you don't think that you could type into the chat and you want to just stay on and verbally explain it to me or have a discussion, or you're not sure if it makes sense, just hang on, and I'm happy to answer that one-on-one with you guys. Otherwise, thank you for joining our information session. Really hope to get your applications in. Ultimately, our goal is to make this the best possible program. That's why it's no cost to you, and we really do everything we possibly can to add the most value to the startup. So thanks everyone for joining us today. I think we can probably send the slide deck tomorrow.
Hey, David, quick question while people are getting off here. Which group on your website did you say see the initial application?
Okay, so if you go to the page InsurTechNY.com/Accelerator, so let's see if it's organized in order. So the first 7 companies in the 4 rows, so Avanta, Transverse, Greenlight, Reed, Gallagher, CNO, Nationwide, and Locked-In, those are the ones that see the application.
Okay, good, because the 8th is the one I was concerned about.
Okay, great.
And then the mentors, those people don't, and the investors, those people don't, correct?
Right, just those first 7.
Awesome. All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. If anyone else has individual questions, definitely please let us know.
Hey, this is Connor Letty here from Squirrel. Sorry for joining late. Just had a customer call that ran late. Is there a replay of the first 20 minutes so I don't have to, ask a plethora of questions? Just want to see if there's a replay so we can understand the event.
Absolutely, yeah, it will be a replay. But if you have any questions you think are specific to you as a company, happy to answer those.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I guess we just have a couple people still on. Brandon, Arjun, and Howard, did you guys have any specific questions that you wanted to get answered?
Hey, it's Brandon. No, thanks. I was looking at the website, catching up on what you had just said. So it seems pretty clear. Nice program. I like how you present it. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. All right, well, if no one has any other questions, I am going to close this off. Thanks everyone for joining us today. And then Tony or I will send out the recording and the presentation.